What is up, everybody? Vital Syntax here, playing some Battlefield Bad Company 2 on the PC, live commentary. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about Battlefield 3 versus Modern Warfare 3, or the other way around, Modern Warfare 3 versus Battlefield 3. So I think this is a tough topic to talk about because, you know, there's people who are obsessed with each game, and there's people that love both games. But I think this is an important one for me to go over because I know there's a lot of my viewers out there that maybe are going to have to choose between one of these games. And they won't be able to purchase both of them. So for the first part of this video, I'll be talking about the pros that I think Battlefield 3 will have. Obviously, this is all speculation, or most of it's speculation, or based off of trailers and whatnot that we've seen. I haven't been able to play Battlefield 3 myself, and I haven't obviously been able to play Modern Warfare 3 myself quite yet, but I might do another update video and redo this topic once I've got my hands on Battlefield 3 with the beta they're doing, and just base it off of, you know, new information that might have been released in the future. So for the first part of this video, we're talking about the pros of Battlefield 3 as far as what I am predicting, and obviously most of the pros are going to be cons for Battlefield 3, and most of the pros for Modern Warfare 3 will be cons for Battlefield 3. And I'll be starting with Bad Company 2 gameplay, obviously, and then once I start talking about Modern Warfare 3 pros, I'm going to switch over to Black Ops. And I know Black Ops isn't the prequel to Modern Warfare 3, and Bad Company 2 isn't the prequel to Battlefield 3, but they're both the most recent releases in each of the franchises, so I thought that was appropriate. Alright, so starting with Battlefield 3 features, I guess, pros. The first one I want to talk about is the graphics. From the gameplay trailers that we've seen, whether that was PS3 on the Jimmy Fallon show or any of the stuff that was released at E3 or any time before that, obviously Battlefield 3 is an incredibly good looking game graphically, and in my opinion is far better graphically than Modern Warfare 3. And when I say graphically, I mean, you know, based on textures, animations, lighting effects, things like that. I think most people would agree that Battlefield 3 has a much better graphic polish to it, and I think that's most in part to the new Frostbite 2 engine, whereas Modern Warfare 3 is running on the same engine that's been updated, but basically recycled since, I don't know, probably Call of Duty 4, maybe even earlier. So the next thing would be audio. If you've heard any of the, or seen any of the trailers, you've probably heard the, you know, the gun effects, the sound effects with the tanks and all the weapons and everything. It just sounds very, very good. Did I hear a sniper just trying to shoot at me? Yeah. What are you doing up here, bro? The sound effects in Battlefield Bad Company 2 were amazing, and I'm guessing that they're going to be better in Battlefield 3, although I don't see how they can get much better because the sound effects in this game are just outstanding, especially when you turn war tapes on, which just gives you a more realistic sound experience if you don't know what that was. And in comparison to Modern Warfare 3, yeah, the sounds they're good. They're definitely good. It's just some of the guns sound, they don't sound realistic. They sound kind of like toys sometimes, and things like footsteps. And I know a lot of people complain about, and especially in Black Ops, how there's a lot of things that go on the maps that are really distracting. For example, the missile that launches on the map called Launch. It can be really distracting from actually playing the game. So when it comes to audio, I think Battlefield 3 is a clear winner. The next thing I want to talk about was dedicated servers. This has been officially announced for Battlefield 3 on every console, so the PS3 and the Xbox 360, along with obviously the PC. As far as Modern Warfare 3 goes, it hasn't been really announced, but from the past experience, there's not going to be dedicated servers on consoles, and of course that's just speculation. And possibly even on the PC there might not be dedicated servers. Infinity Ward with Modern Warfare 2 did not have dedicated servers, although Black Ops did. Black Ops was made by a different game studio. So I personally don't think there's going to be dedicated servers on any console, which is a huge disappointment because dedicated servers I think are one of the best features that any first-person shooter can have, because it reduces the lag or completely removes lag and makes it a fair playing field for everybody that's in your server. The next thing is 64 players on console or on PC and 24 players on consoles. That's much bigger than what's gonna be on Modern Warfare 3. I think if Modern Warfare 3 is anything like Modern Warfare 2, it's probably going to be 18 players in Ground War, if they still have that game type, and probably 12 players in the majority of the other game types, like Team Deathmatch or Domination or Search and Destroy, so 6 versus 6. Now, some people don't think that having more players on the field is a better thing, but in my opinion, that's one of the awesome features about Battlefield 3. And I'm not going to go into details about why and stuff, but in general, I think having more players just adds to the overall experience. And obviously, with 24 players on consoles and 64 players on PC, I think that's a clear advantage that Battlefield 3 is going to have over Modern Warfare 3. The next thing is Battlelog. Battlelog is their social network / stat site that they're going to be launching with Battlefield 3. There's been some leaked images that were released, I think, on BattlefieldO.com. So if you haven't checked those out, you can probably find them on Google or whatever. And it looks really good. We've also Activision just started sending out beta keys for COD Elite, which is the similar, social network type of stat site that they're going to be launching with, I think actually later this summer, so you'll be able to use with Black Ops, but I think they'll actually have full integration when they release it with Modern Warfare 3. But the big difference between these two services is that Battlelog, will be completely free, no monthly service. Anybody can access it from any console, but Call of Duty Elite, which is basically going to have the exact same features, now that could change. There might not have the exact same features, but from what we've seen so far, the majority of the features are similar to each of the services. And Call of Duty Elite is going to cost a monthly price. They haven't announced the price, but I think they said something along the lines of they're going to keep it below, something like Netflix. And Netflix, I think right now is like $8 minimum a month. Don't quote me on that, but so I'm guessing it's going to be between somewhere between $4. Is that a guy? No. $4 a month and maybe $8 a month, which for the majority of players, I think is kind of stupid, because in the first, they're paying $60 in the first place. Then they're getting charged for map packs. Although they did announce that if you have Call of Duty Elite, you don't have to purchase the map packs, so that's kind of included. But at the same time, Call of Duty and Activision always been they've always been good at finding ways to take your money. I wouldn't say take, but make you spend your money on products they sell. And I don't know. I really think it was a bad idea for them to put a monthly price on their service, especially when Battlefield is doing a similar service on their, often completely free. We don't know. There's always a chance that they're gonna change that around. I kind of doubt it, because they've already announced that they're gonna be charging for it, but you never know. All right. So the last thing, the last pro that I thought of for Battlefield 3, and obviously there's going to be tons of things I missed, and if there's anything that I did miss, feel free to leave a comment. The last thing I want to talk about is destruction. So destruction was in Bad Company 2. You can see some of these walls are blown out, even on this map I'm playing right here. But it was very limited. You could only take out certain walls, and once you took out a certain amount of those walls, a building would collapse, or you can blow up vehicles, and you could take down trees, things like that. It's not micro destruction. It was, I guess, macro destruction, for lack of a better word. But with Battlefield 3, they're bringing in micro destruction. I think that's what they call it. I could be wrong. And basically, that allows you to like chip away at cover bullet by bullet. And I don't know why I spawned all the way at our base, but regardless. If you look at the Jimmy Fallon video that they released with Battlefield 3 PS3 gameplay footage, you can see firsthand the way the micro destruction works, and it just looks awesome. You can literally just take down cover bullet by bullet without explosives, just with the bullets in your gun. And I think that's going to add another layer on top of the awesome experience that we know as Battlefield. Even in Bad Company 2, the destruction added this whole another layer of gameplay, because you can't hide in one location, you're never safe. It kind of cuts down on camping. If one guy's sitting in the corner of a building, just blow the whole building up with some C4 or something, or with a tank or whatever. So I personally think destruction is a huge plus as far as features go for Battlefield 3. Although I have heard a few, and keep in mind I say a few, Call of Duty fanboys, I guess you could call them, that don't like that feature, that think that it ruins the gameplay. But for the most part, I think most people will agree that destruction is an awesome feature, and it adds to the realism, it adds another layer of gameplay, and overall is an awesome feature as we get knifed. Alright, so I'm going to pause the video here and switch over to Black Ops, and we're going to be talking about some of the pros and cons, I guess pros of Modern Warfare 3 and cons of Battlefield 3. Alright, I'll see you guys there. Alright guys, we're back for our second half of the discussion of Battlefield 3 versus Modern Warfare 3. Now we're switched over to Black Ops, and we'll be talking about some of the pros of the Call of Duty series, specifically that we are predicting to see in Modern Warfare 3. So the first one that I wanted to talk about was 1080p and 60 frames per second on consoles. So I know the majority of people out there that watch my videos, and just the majority of people that are gaming on first-person shooters in general, play on consoles, whether that's the PS3 or the Xbox 360. I know that both of those are much more popular than the PC. So with that in mind, you have to take into account that Modern Warfare 3 performs it performs better. I wouldn't say graphically, but control-wise and frame rate-wise than Battlefield has in the past. And they've announced that Battlefield 3 will run at 30 frames per second on consoles and only be 720p. Now, keeping in mind, there's some other factors that you have to take into account. First of all, neither Battlefield or Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 or Battlefield 3 are actually running at those resolutions. They're being what's called upscaled. And you can look more information up on this on Wikipedia, and I don't really know too much information about myself other than what I've kind of just read up on quickly. Let me just call this chopper in here. Alright. So basically what upscaling is, to my understanding, is it's taking a resolution, usually in the form of textures or just graphically, and just upscaling it and making it larger to fit on a high resolution display. So what it does for you, it does have some upsides. What it does is it makes text clearer, it makes menus clearer. It might make some guns and graphics look a little bit more crisp, but in the end, the textures and all the other forms of graphical fidelity. I'm not obviously a computer programmer here, or game designer. Technically, I am a computer programmer, but and if you're wondering why I'm saying that, I'm actually in school for computer science. So anyway, I was saying about talking about upscaling. So neither of the games are actually running at 720p or 1080p, and I have to look it up again, but I'm pretty sure previous Call of Duties have actually run at 700p resolution and have been upscaled from there. I don't know about Battlefield. It probably would be similar. What an idiot. So keeping that in mind, I don't think 720p is an issue versus 1080p. But when it comes to frame rate, I have to give the upper hand to the Call of Duty series with Modern Warfare 3. 60 frames per second is obviously better than 30 frames per second, and I'll come back to this later, but basically what that means is every second you're going to see 60 different images, and it gives you a smoother, more butter-like experience when you're playing the game. Now, I've played both Call of Duty and Battlefield on the consoles, specifically on the PS3, and Battlefield is run at 30, Call of Duty run at 60, and when you play Battlefield for a long enough time, your eyes actually get used to that lower frame rate and you actually don't notice it. But when you're switching between the two, it's very obvious. Your eyes kind of get a little bit more stressed when you're doing the lower frame rate because it doesn't look as smooth. And also sometimes that leads to a little bit more clunky controls because your head's kind of, or your eyes are kind of, seeing a clunkier image that might not be quite as smooth. So, and once again, I'm not, a game designer, so I might be making some of this stuff up. But to the best of my knowledge, 60 frames per second is basically a much better performance than 30 frames per second. So I have to give the upper hand to Call of Duty in that sense. But then once again, from my experience, it's quite easy to get used to and not have any problems with 30 frames per second. So other than that, those were the two pros that I thought of for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. And once again, that was the 30 frames per second and 1080p support. Other than that, I honestly can't say that there's pros that I think are out there. When you think about customization, Battlefield 3 is going to have up to 3 weapon attachments on each weapon that you have. Maybe not secondaries, I just mean as your primary weapon. On top of that, there might be the skills that are returning that are similar to perks, but they're actually from Battlefield. We don't know about that. But as far as customization goes, I think that they're probably going to be around the same level. A couple other categories that I thought of discussing. Game types. Yes, there's more game types in Call of Duty. You've got things like search and destroy, free for all, demolition, domination, sabotage. The list goes on and on and on. But when it really comes down to it, a lot of those game types are very similar, and they vary very slightly. Whereas Battlefield's game types are extremely different. You've got Rush, Conquest, and now Team Deathmatch, and none of those are alike at all. One of them has to do with flags. One of them has to do with bases or bombs or MCOM stations, whatever you want to call them. And one of them just has to do with kills. So, and these guys are absolutely horrible. I don't know why a dolphin dived, because I was already in the air, but whatever. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. Yes, I am being quite biased towards Battlefield. I'm a huge Battlefield fan. I think that Battlefield 3 is going to be a much better game. As far as sales go, I do think that Modern Warfare 3 will probably outsell Battlefield 3 just because of past experience with those stats. But that's all I wanted to say. If you guys enjoyed the video, remember to give a rating and leave a comment if you have anything that I missed as far as cons or pros of either of these games. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.